The air in Chicago's United Center is electric, heavy with anticipation. Dricus Du Plessis and Khamzat Chimaev stand inches apart, eyes locked, unyielding, as Dana White wedges himself between them, breaking up a face-off so intense it feels like the fight's already begun. This is UFC 319, a middleweight title clash that's been months in the making, pitting South Africa's unorthodox champion against Chechnya's undefeated phenom. On Saturday night, the Windy City will bear witness to a war that could reshape the UFC's most chaotic division. Dricus Du Plessis, the man they call Stillknocks, carved his path to the top with grit and controversy. Born in Pretoria, South Africa in 1994, he was a prodigy in combat sports. By 16, he was a kickboxing standout, blending raw power with unorthodox angles. His wrestling base, honed in high school, set the stage for an MMA career that began in 2013. Du Plessis tore through South Africa's EFC, going 7-0 with knockouts and submissions, claiming the welterweight title in 2017 and the middleweight belt in 2018. His style is chaotic, looping hooks, spinning attacks, and a relentless pace that overwhelms. He finishes fights. 19 of his 23 wins come early, with a 65% knockout rate and 22% submission clip. But it's his mouth that's stirred as much chaos as his fists. His feud with Israel Adesanya at UFC 305 ignited debates about African representation. Dricus claimed he was the true African champion, born and raised on the continent, unlike Adesanya, who reps Nigeria but grew up in New Zealand. X erupted. One fan posted, "Dricus is right, he's repping Africa from the ground up, not just a flag." Another countered, "He's just stirring drama to hype the fight." That drama peaked when Du Plessis submitted Adesanya in the fourth round with a rear-naked choke, defending his title and cementing his reign. Du Plessis' UFC journey began in 2020 on Fight Island, where he starched Marcus Perez in under 4 minutes. He followed with wins over Trevin Giles, Brad Tavares, and a grueling submission of Darren Till at UFC 282, showcasing his ability to weather storms and turn tides. The real turning point came at UFC 290 in 2023 when he shocked former champion Robert Whittaker with a second-round TKO, landing a crisp right hand that dropped the Reaper. That win earned him a shot at Sean Strickland's belt at UFC 297. In Toronto, Du Plessis outlasted Strickland in a bloody 5-round war, winning a split decision despite fan backlash. Many felt Strickland's cleaner boxing deserved the nod. X was ablaze. Dricus got away with one there. Sean was robbed, one user vented. But Du Plessis' volume, 4.5 significant strikes per minute, and relentless pressure swayed the judges. His title defense against Adesanya proved his grit, but whispers of rule bending linger. Eye pokes in the Strickland fight drew ire, and Joe Rogan, on his podcast, stirred the pot, making it harder for Du Plessis than Adesanya. With an 11-fight win streak and a chip on his shoulder, Du Plessis is ready to prove he's no fluke, but Khamzat's shadow looms large. Khamzat Chimaev, known as Borz, the Wolf, is a force of nature. Born in Chechnya in 1994, he grew up amid conflict, moving to Sweden at 19 to chase wrestling glory. A 3-time Swedish freestyle wrestling champion, he transitioned to MMA in 2018, tearing through Brave CF with a 6-0 record, all finishes. The UFC came calling in 2020, and Chimaev didn't just answer, he obliterated. His debut saw him submit John Phillips in 17 seconds. 10 days later, he tapped Reese McKee. Then came the viral moment, a one-punch knockout of Gerald Meerschaert in 17 seconds flat. Chimaev was a sensation, dubbed the next big thing. His war with Gilbert Burns at UFC 273, a fight of the night classic, showed he could hang in deep waters, edging out a decision after 3 rounds of chaos. But setbacks followed. A massive weight miss at UFC 279 forced a catchweight bout with Kevin Holland, which he dominated with a Darce choke in under 3 minutes. Health issues, cryptosporidiosis, hand injuries, and visa troubles tied to his links with Chechen leader Ramzan Kadyrov stalled his rise. Fans speculated wildly on X. Khamzat's visa issues are because of Kadyrov. He's never fighting in the U.S. again. Yet Chimaev credited Donald Trump for resolving his visa woes, paving the way for UFC 319, his first U.S. fight since 2022. His middleweight transition was seismic. At UFC 294, he outgrappled former welterweight champ Kamaru Usman on short notice, winning a majority decision despite a fractured hand. Then at UFC 308, he submitted Robert Whittaker in the first round with a brutal face crank, earning his title shot. Undefeated at 14-0, with an 85% finish rate, 6 knockouts, 6 submissions, Chimaev's game is suffocating. 5.2 takedowns per 15 minutes, relentless chain wrestling, and ground control that breaks souls. But his inactivity, 2 fights since 2022, sparks doubt. UFC legend Din Thomas warned, "If Khamzat wins the belt, it's a disaster for the UFC. He barely fights." Thomas pointed to pulled bouts and health scares. Chimaev fired back, promising an Abu Dhabi defense if he wins, vowing to silence critics. His style is a nightmare. Pressure, clinch work, and submissions that exploit the smallest mistake. If you're gripped by these stories, the rivalries, the knockouts, the raw emotion of the fight game, subscribe to MMA Arena. We bring you inside the cage, the locker rooms, and the headlines that define combat sports. The middleweight division is a pressure cooker, and UFC 319 is its boiling point. Flashback to 2020, Adesanya ruled, dispatching Yoel Romero, Paulo Costa, and Marvin Vettori with surgical precision. Then Strickland stunned the world at UFC 293, outpointing Adesanya for the upset of the decade. His reign lasted 126 days before Du Plessis took the belt in January 2024. Rankings have been a carousel. Robert Whittaker held number 1 after beating Costa and Aliskerov, but Chimaev's submission dropped him to number 4. Jared Cannonier climbed with knockouts over Vettori and Strickland, but stumbled against Nasruddin Imamov. Paulo Costa faded after losses to Whittaker and Adesanya. Rising stars like Caio Borralho, who TKO'd Cannonier, and Brandon Allen with 7 straight wins add depth. Matchmaking politics shaped this fight. Chimaev's visa issues delayed it as Du Plessis pushed it post-Adesanya. Dana White admitted, "We wanted this fight earlier, but Chimaev couldn't get into the U.S." Now, with Chimaev cleared, the stage is set. A Du Plessis win could lead to a Strickland trilogy or a rematch with Whittaker. A Chimaev victory, it might spark a champ-champ clash with Ilia Topuria or a defense against Imamov. The division's future hinges on Saturday. Tactically, this is a clash of opposites. Du Plessis thrives in the storm. His awkward striking with looping right hands and spinning elbows disrupts rhythm. He lands 4.5 significant strikes per minute and absorbs 4.2, embracing firefights. His wrestling defense is solid, 70% takedown defense, and he's dangerous off his back with 4 submission wins, including the Adesanya choke. Against Chimaev, he'll need to keep range, use his jab, and avoid the cage where Chimaev traps foes. One ex-fan broke it down. Dricus has to circle, feint, and land that big right hand early. If Chimaev gets him down, it's over. Chimaev's game is pressure personified. He averages 5.2 takedowns per 15 minutes, chaining attempts until opponents break. His striking evolved against Burns and Usman, landing 3.8 significant strikes per minute, but cardio concerns linger. He faded in round 3 against Burns. If he closes distance, clinches, and grinds, he could dominate. But Du Plessis' power, 9 KO wins, could catch him on entries. Darren Till, who's trained with both, predicts Chimaev by submission. Chimaev's too strong, too relentless. Adesanya, though, called it 50-50. Dricus is tough, but Khamzat's a problem. Rogan hyped it, saying, "This is the fight of 2025, pure violence." Fan reactions are feverish. The hotel encounter, where Chimaev towered over Du Plessis, went viral. X lit up. "Dricus looks tiny next to Khamzat. This is going to be brutal." One fan posted with a photo. Another countered, "Size don't matter. Dricus walked right up to him fearless." Du Plessis shrugged it off. "He's big, sure, but I've knocked out bigger." The press conference amplified the drama. Chicago booed Du Plessis from the jump, embracing Chimaev as their own. Du Plessis leaned into the villain role. "Boo all you want, Chicago. I'm leaving with the belt." Chimaev fired a shot. "Africa's never seeing that belt again. Sorry, guys." The crowd roared. After questions, the face-off turned molten. Chimaev talking, Du Plessis silent, staring daggers. Dana White stepped in as they pressed foreheads, preventing chaos. X captured the vibe. That stare down was insane. Dricus didn't blink once. Another, Khamzat's aura is terrifying, but Dricus looks like he's ready to die in there.